Hi everyone, I'm Ava. I'm an American living here in the Netherlands, and today I want to answer a question that I've gotten a lot from you recently, and that is, Ava, you've been so positive about everything in the Netherlands. Is there something you don't like? Well, short answer to that is yes, and the long answer is this video. So today I wanted to share a few things that annoy me about the Netherlands, my pet peeves, so to speak. And now, usually my videos are really positive because that's a reflection of who I am as a person. I think I get annoyed on a daily basis, but usually after the thing happens, I just forget about it and I focus on the more positive things. That's why I'm always smiling. And yes, it hurts. The only person who gets to hear about my whining is my girlfriend, and I feel so bad for her. But you know what? I moved across the Atlantic for love, for her love. So I think it's only fair that she, listens to me complain about these little things. You'll see what I'm talking about. Number one on my list is how things are closed on Monday morning. And by things, I should be more specific. I mean shops and stores and cafes. I like the fact that I keep saying things. I like the fact that stores and cafes, etc., they close at a reasonable hour during the week so that people can go home to their families. So you won't really see stores or coffee shops, the ones where you get coffee, open past 6 p.m. Okay, that's the normal time that they're closed. And in the US, you typically will find them open until like 10 p.m. That's a pretty standard time in the US, in most places, in the cities at least. And here in the Netherlands, things are closed at 6. I have no problem with that. I think it's great. And also on Thursdays, you can use avond, which is the evening where things are open until a bit later, so until 9 p.m. And you can use that time to go shopping during the week. So if everything closes at a reasonable hour during the week on all days except for Thursday, and if on the weekends places are open again, at a reasonable working hour, then why the hell are places closed Monday morning? That makes no sense to me. Okay, I should have prefaced this video with it's going to be a little bit of a rant, because what do you expect when you talk about negative things? And don't even blame me, you are the ones who wanted me to make this video, so here you have it, my little rants. Anyway, yes, so Monday morning, I don't understand why places need to be closed on Monday morning, until noon no less. The thing is, in the past, sometimes I've wanted to make my weekend into a long weekend, so I've taken the Monday off. Or maybe I've gone on a trip and I've decided to take the Monday off, for whatever reason. If I take a Monday off, Monday morning, I can't just decide to beat the crowd and go shopping because nothing is open. Also, when I'm working, if I want to get a coffee to kickstart my week, I can't do that. The number of times I have gone to a cafe or a koffietentje, a coffee shop, and just stood outside the door looking really sad and miserable because it was 8:30 on a Monday and it was closed. And I just wanted to bang on the door and be like, please, I need coffee, open up. I just don't get it. Why? So in the US, that is definitely not the case. Museums tend to be closed on Mondays, and I think that's also often the case here in the Netherlands, and okay, I get it. But why everything else? So that was rant number one. Rant number two is, I love how I'm just gonna call them my little rants. So rant number two on this list is how there are raisins in everything. This is very specific to me. I know not everybody hates raisins, but hear me out. In the US, raisins are something that divide people. It's like you have the group that likes raisins and the group that doesn't, just like with coriander or cilantro if you're American. There are two groups of people when it comes to cilantro. Those who think that cilantro is delicious, wonderful, like I do, and then the next group who thinks that cilantro tastes like soap. Hey, it's just a thing, okay? So similarly with raisins, I feel like raisins are even more of a dividing factor in the US. It's unthinkable that they would be in everything there. So imagine my surprise when I came to the Netherlands and my first time here, the first thing I happened to buy was a krentenbol because it just looked like this delicious bread thing. And then I started eating it and there were raisins in it. And I don't understand what the hype is about raisins in the Netherlands. It's like these little grain things that squirt in your mouth. No. So literally raisins in everything. When I go to the supermarket here, I have to be so careful about what I buy because if I'm not, raisins. This is especially problematic when I try to buy granola. Like one time I bought this box of granola that said Note on the front. So that means nuts. And the pictures had these beautiful nuts on it. So I was in a hurry, pick them up, bring them home. Next thing I know, they also have a crap ton of raisins in them. Why? Why would you do that? It said nuts, and it was right next to the box that said fruit and nuts. The raisins are not a nut. So I told you this would be a little bit of a rant, and there it was. And finally, final piece of ranting on this topic, on the topic of raisins, is that I really get so annoyed when there are raisins in my apple pie. I kind of have to like move them to the side because I love Dutch apple pie in spite of the raisins. Yes, Dutch apple pie is that good. So then I just have to like go boop, boop, boop on my plate and move the raisins. Luckily, my girlfriend likes them, so I usually just scoot them over to her side. It's like she can have them. Number 3 on this list I have talked about before, but it is a sore point. So I'm going to talk about it again. And that is that I hate the way packages are delivered here in the Netherlands. I don't know what to tell you. So I really talked about this extensively in another video, and the comments I got were of two kinds. So one type of comment was like, yeah, you know, you just have to get used to it, and tough noogies. Who says tough noogies anymore? Anyway, and the second camp of people, they were like, yeah, it's also annoying to Dutch people. So let me know in the comments which camp are you. I love hearing about this. So back to the packages. In the US, packages are typically left in front of your doorstep, which means that if you are at work, or even if you're home and you don't want to open the door, they'll just leave the package outside. So you, being the good American that you are from like a tough city like Philadelphia, New York, Washington, you just like don't open the door, you know, let them leave the packages, and you just like, no one talks to each other, you know, everyone is just doing their job, and then you just go pick your package. Or if you're at work, you come home and there's this wonderful package waiting for you. That is until it gets stolen. Yes, I've had that happen to me and it sucks, but then again, many of these companies have insurance for things getting stolen, so I just get the same thing back, just a bit later. So, okay, here in the Netherlands, not the case. You need to be there to open the door. And in my previous video, I complained about how, I'm really not a negative person. In my previous video, I talked about how I really didn't like it that sometimes I wasn't home and things were delivered during the day, and often in the Netherlands, you won't really get a specific time your package will be delivered. You'll sort of get this like time frame, and the time frame is like your package will arrive between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. that day. And sometimes you can track and trace it, but not all the time. So, you know, it's a bit annoying when you're at work and then you come back and you have to go pick up your package at this like little store that's a few blocks away from you, and you need to go there and be like, can I have my package? And it usually takes a couple of days for it to get there. It's a whole thing. So annoying, and that's what I talked about in the previous video. Adding to this now is that when I'm at home working and I'm in a really very important meeting, that's right, the doorbell goes off like it's a buzz, and I'm in this meeting. It's very important. My future rides on this meeting. Okay, not really. It's totally fine because every other person in the meeting also has this happen to them. But then I have to get up and like go downstairs and get my package. Otherwise, I won't get my package. So yes, that definitely annoys me. I would much rather risk the fact of my packages getting stolen as opposed to having to get up from my computer or from my couch or from making this video and going to get my package downstairs. Rant number 4. Dutch toilets. Where do I even begin? Okay, in the US, we often have the bathroom. The bathroom is where you go and you do all the things. You could go to the toilet, you could brush your teeth, you could take a shower. And yes, sometimes the toilets are separate from the bathroom where you do the showers or the bath. Yes, that can happen, but here in the Netherlands, that is pretty standard. And I wouldn't feel so badly about it, except for the fact that Dutch toilets are this like completely foreign thing to me. Because first of all, the toilets in the Netherlands, can you tell that I'm getting a little awkward talking about toilets on camera? Because I know thousands of people will see this video. Anyway, toilets, yay, fun. They are flat. They are flat in the Netherlands. The toilets, the Dutch toilets are flat. So if you go to the toilet to do your toilet things, you will see the toilet things because it is flat. it is also extremely annoying to do the toilet things because it is flat, because the flush doesn't work properly. So extremely annoying. Yes, I do not like that. I prefer the American toilets where everything just goes whoosh and gets sucked in. This is disgusting, I know. So let's move on to the second thing I hate about Dutch toilets, because this point has 3 subparts. The first one was the actual toilet. The second one are the tiny freaking sinks. Dutch people are the tallest in the world. I'm assuming tall people generally have big hands. Maybe that's a statement that's not based in fact, but okay. Dutch people are normal-sized people, right? Or taller. But their sinks are made for little tiny figurines. They are so small, I don't even know how to use them. I have been in the Netherlands for so long and I still struggle with using these sinks. Like they're this big, and then there's a little tiny faucet on top of it, or a tap, and you need to turn it on and then wash your hands, because that's what you do when you come out of the toilet or in the toilet, whatever, and you just can't. I just like spill water everywhere, and I have not figured out a way to wash my hands in the Netherlands without coming out looking like a 4-year-old who's like had an accident, because the water just splashes everywhere. It's so small. Why is it so small? There is space to make it a little bigger. Why is it so small? Do you know the answer to that? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Subpart 3 of Dutch toilets is the fact that these tiny sinks with their tiny faucets often only spout cold water. And in the Netherlands, while it may not be snowing all the time, it does get freaking cold. And when it is freaking cold, you need to wash your hands, but the water is also freezing. How do you do that? So again, I have not figured out a way around this. What I do is I typically go round 1, oh my god, my hands are freezing and they are red, raw red, because it is so cold, and then I have to do a second round and a third round because I want to wash my hands. This is a good point in my video to take a pause and remind you all that I love living here in the Netherlands. These are just tiny little things that annoy me in the moment on not even a regular basis, just sometimes. So that's what I'm sharing with you today, because again, this video was a request. But that's it. I really love living in the Netherlands. I mean, watch any of my videos. So with that said, moving on to the next point on this list, which is that the thing that bothers me every time I go to a restaurant is that I don't get water for free. Now that is changing slowly, so some places will give you a glass of water to drink with your meal, but that is a special occasion. Then I'm like, you get 5 stars, but that is not common here in the Netherlands. Whereas in the US, if you go to a cafe or restaurant, when you sit down to eat, you will immediately get this glass of water filled with ice, because Americans, we love our ice, and then you'll get lots of water, and the water refills will keep on coming. So that's kind of nice because you don't need to worry about bringing your water with you. Here in the Netherlands, you do. I've learned to just carry my doper or my like water bottle along with me, because if I go to a cafe or restaurant, I will not be given the gift of water. So yeah, that annoys me sometimes. Not always, just sometimes. Number 6 on this list is a bit of an old wound. So I don't have this problem anymore, but it bothered me so much that I wanted to mention it in this video. And that is that sometimes, in some places, you cannot use your foreign credit cards, or debit cards even. So at the Albert Heijn, for instance, you cannot use your foreign debit cards at the self-checkout counter. You can't even use it at the cash register with people working there, actually. You need to pay with cash. Yes, so that is mega annoying when you have just moved bright-eyed from another country and you want to pay for things like food and water, which you don't get for free at cafes and restaurants, but you have to have cash. Who has cash anymore? Nobody. So you need to be that awkward person with groceries, and then you like have to leave it there and run out and get some cash and come back and hope that your groceries are still there, or try to get your groceries again. Hey, this didn't happen to me. It happened to a friend, and I'm just telling the story to you. But anyway, I can imagine that it's also annoying for tourists, and it definitely was annoying for me as a tourist, but even more so annoying when I moved here and it had been 3 months, because it takes a really long time to get a Dutch bank card. It just does. The whole process, like registering, getting an address, and then BSN number, it takes forever. And that whole time that you're here, you have to use cash. You can't use your card from back home, your previous home. You know what I mean. And the final thing on this list, number 7, is a bit of a funny one. It's when people walk their dogs and their dogs are not on a leash here in the Netherlands. In the US, that would be unthinkable because if your dog bites someone, you could get sued. So yeah, that's not great. But also, you know, dogs are animals, and as much as I love them and as much as I believe that a dog is a person's best friend, I think they should still be on leashes. Even though I really love them and I think in the backyard they should be able to run free. But when you are in public, I feel that, you know, your pet can be quite unpredictable. So the fact that they can run free here in the Netherlands is a bit weird to me. And there have been times like when I'm going to work and, you know, the good days where I used to go to work, and then there were just these dogs in the morning like running around me, and I was like, are you gonna say anything, owner? And the owner would be like, wouldn't be like anything, because they wouldn't even look at me. They were just doing their own thing off somewhere, and the dogs would be running around my legs. And even though I'm not afraid of dogs, but it wasn't a pleasant experience, because first of all, what if I kick your dog by accident? Because some of these dogs are so tiny. Like, I don't know. Just the fact that they're not on a leash bothers me. Anyway, so those were 7 things that annoy me about the Netherlands, more like my own pet peeves. I can imagine that these things are completely fine for other people. They are small things. They definitely do not hinder my enjoyment of the Netherlands. That was a weird sentence. These things definitely don't stop me from enjoying living in the Netherlands to the fullest.